This is Dance Studio 411, where we answer your real-life questions about your toughest studio life predicaments. Parent problems, teacher turnover, student challenges, policy dilemmas, and so much more. Let's talk about what's keeping you awake at night and what you can do about it. Here are your hosts, Suzanne Blake Garrity and Jill Tyrone.
Welcome, everyone, to this episode of our Dance Studio 411 podcast. I am always loving my time with Miss Andrea Trench, who's our very special guest today. She is the creator and founder of Discover Dance, and Andrea and I got connected back when I think it was your daughter that was modeling for Revolution, right,
Yes.
Andrea? And I know you had always connected with our team at Revolution, and I feel so blessed to have known you over these few years, but more importantly, you have become such an incredible resource for dance teachers and studio owners because of your education, your background, and just the very practical teaching strategies you share. And so I'm excited about this episode because if there was ever a time for us to get creative about teaching strategies, it's now. So thanks for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me back. I love speaking with you, Suzanne, and I love Revolution and everything that you guys do for studio owners and teachers. It's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, it's good. Well, so when we were talking about having you on for this episode, I was like, what does everybody need right now? Because I mean, gosh, we're pretty tired. This has been the marathon we didn't know we were going to run. And so it's such a blessing to have kids back in dance classes, and still some are very virtual, depending upon where they are. But I know you thought long and heard about basically what you've been seeing from your community that you've created on Facebook with all these dance teachers and the amount of different Facebook Lives and webinars you've taught. So I'm excited. I mean, what are we going to dive into today?
We are going to dive into creating an enriched learning environment. And that sounds fancy, doesn't it?
It does. I like it.
Okay, good. But basically what that means is we are going to enhance the quality of dance education in our classes. And by doing this, we're going to increase our students' focus and participation. We are going to assist with choreography retention, because I know many of you are thinking about holiday shows and you're wondering what we're going to do in the spring time. So this learning environment is going to help with that choreography retention, and it's going to help students with their corrections and feedback. So a better way to understand and apply what you're trying to get out of them. Because what's happening is we are happily welcoming our students back to classes. However, we're starting to see the effects of, we are seeing the effects of what this shutdown has done, right? We have all these protocols, we have all these new ways of learning. Our students are coming back in class. Their listening skills are on a different level now because we had that awesome mute button that we all loved as teachers, but it doesn't really help with their listening skill development. We had dancers who have been dancing in their living rooms with distractions all around. They've forgotten how to behave in dance class. So we're pretty much starting all over again. And the last thing that we need, on top of all of the new policies and procedures and do's and don'ts and blah, 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 is for a class to not be successful. That's the last thing we need as teachers.
Exactly. And you and I both know that the success of our ability to capture the attention of especially the young children who you specialize in teaching, our retention is our number one game. Getting them in the class is hard enough. Then what you don't want is the epic meltdown to turn into, nothing stabs you through the heart like a parent who's like, she lost interest, or it just doesn't work for us. And you're like, no, just give it like a little more time, So thank you for sharing your words of wisdom today. I'm excited.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is how we're going to create that enriched learning environment. Okay. It sounds daunting, but stick with me, guys, because I have an easy teaching strategy for you. I'm here for you. This is what I do. So we're going to create this enriched learning environment by creating a multi-sensory learning experience. And what that means is that we're going to approach our classes in a way in which we are reaching and teaching multiple learning styles, because we all have a preference in how we learn and process and retain information. And what we're going to do is we're going to identify that in our dancers, and we're going to help them to stay focused and engaged, because we're going to reach them the way that they learn. So we're going to focus on the VAKT learning style model, and VAKT is short for visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and tactile learning styles. So what this means is our visual learners, they need to see things. They need pictures and visuals and props and posters and movement cards. They need to see the class objective. When you are choreographing your dance, they need to see it done full out. They need to see what you are asking of them. When you're giving feedback, they need it seen. They need to see it done properly. So you can't just say, point your foot, but they need to see what a pointed foot looks like. Your auditory learners are going to process information through hearing. So this is when music and singing come in play. They need descriptive words. So when you're teaching choreography, singing the step always helps. So instead of saying plie, stretch, plie, stretch, you're going to say plie and stretch, plie and stretch. You're going to use those descriptive words for feedback. That's what those auditory learners need. Next are kinesthetic learners. These are our movers. They need to do what you are asking of them. So they're actually really good at retaining choreography, because the more you do it, the better they process that information, because they're actually moving and doing it. And these guys, for their feedback, you can't just tell them. You can't say, point your foot, point your foot, point your foot, point your foot. You're wondering why they're not pointing their feet, because you have to have them do it. So you have to say, show me how you point your foot. Yep, a little bit more. Top of that ankle, get it, there it is. Now do it again. That's how they're going to process that information. For your tactile learners, this is our T in our VAKT learning styles. This is going to be our hands-on learners. They need props. This is what happens for dance. In dance class, our tactile learners are going to process information through props and feeling things. This is why touch is so important. And one of the things that we can't do right now is touch. We can't hold their hands. We can't all walk into the middle of the circle and out to teach them how to move in and out of a circle. They can't feel the parachute going up and down, feeling that light and strong weight anymore. So our tactile learners, now more than ever, need more props. So these guys, when you are giving the feedback, this is where props for my older dancers, and I say older as in like 7 and 8, because again, I specialize in the little ones, yes. But 7 and up, when we're doing our elevates from parallel position, and I want to teach them how to stay parallel and not roll on the outside of their feet, I'll put a ball in between their ankles, and so that when they relevate, they can feel the ball in between their legs, because if they go out on their pinky toes, then that ball is going to fall out. So that's kind of the tactile feedback that those dancers need. So yes. Those are our 4 learning styles. And I know you're like, okay, but how am I going to do that for all of my dancers? I get it. This is why I have created a teaching strategy called See, Say, Do, Play. Our visual learners are the see, our auditory learners are the say, our kinesthetic learners are the do, and our tactile learners are the play. So what I want to do is I want to share a teaching strategy. I'm going to share an example of an activity that you can do with your preschoolers. I'm going to focus in on the preschool class, but know that this strategy is for all ages and stages. I just gave you so many examples that you could incorporate in your classes, but let's focus on those preschoolers, because those guys, oh, woo, exactly. Get them in.
We got to get them in, and we got to keep them going. I love it.
You got to get them in. You got to keep them going. Exactly. So what we're going to do, and I know when I talk about props, a lot of you are like, no, we can't use props. We can't use props. Okay, guys, don't get me started. You have to use props. There's no other option. You just have to get a little bit more creative. So a lot of the props that we use are solo props. That's going to be your scarves and your ribbon rings. It's going to be your instruments like rhythm sticks and egg shakers and noodle sticks. But in addition to those solo props where they're not sharing props, you can also get creative, think outside of the box, because that's what we have to do now more than ever, and use disposable props. So these props are inexpensive, and the dancers can either take them home with them to continue the exploring, which will make sure I come back to parents,
Yes.
okay?
Okay.
All right, and then they can take those home to explore, or they can just toss them as they go out, right? There's no sharing, there's no germ passing. So what you want to do with this one, this activity, is use the Chanel stems or pipe cleaners, and each dancer gets one Chanel stem.
Okay,
and what
so
I'm going to
like a pipe cleaner that you can get at any craft store.
dollar store,
Dollar Tree.
dollar store, you can get like 12 for $1. Hello.
Yes,
and there's so
like
many easy props that or crafts that you can make out of them, and those are going to be important for our tactile learners. That's why we have to incorporate them. So here's our activity. We're going to explore the concept of pathways. All right, and what we're going to do for our see, say, do, play is first we're going to have the word written on the board, or if you're virtual, you can write it on a piece of paper to show your class, write pathways, and then have a picture of the 3 pathways: straight, curvy, and zigzag. And you're going to say, dancers, today our word is pathways. Everybody say pathways, and they'll say pathways. All right, so you showed the picture of pathways. That's for our visual learners. You said it so our auditory learners could hear it. That's right, we're going to explore pathways. There are 3 pathways we can dance in, and then you're going to show the picture of straight, and you're going to say, everybody say straight. You're going to say straight. That's right. Our next one is curvy. Everybody say curvy. Notice how I'm changing my words. I'm using the descriptive words for our auditory learners. Our last one is zigzag. Everybody say zigzag. That's right, it goes this way and that way and this way and that way. Excellent. Take your Chanel stem and we're gonna make a fish. Now this is for our tactile learners. And to make a fish, it's super easy. You just fold it in half and you twist the tail, okay? And it'll look like a little fish. You're gonna say, dancers, now we're gonna take our little fish in different pathways. So you show the picture of straight again and you say, dancers, make your fish swim in a straight pathway. And as it swims, say straight, straight, straight. Excellent. Here's my picture of curvy. Everybody say curvy as you make your fish swim in a curvy pathway. Curvy. These are our S's and snakes and swiggles and swirls. Our last one, who remembers our last one? Zigzag. That's right. Everybody say zigzag. Go this way and that way and this way and that way and this way. Oh, excellent. All right, make your fish go to sleep. Now we're going to be the fish. We're going to go lay in the bottom of the ocean. And now we're going to get up and we're going to do the Goldfish song by the Lori Berkner Band. All preschool teachers all over the world know the Lori Berkner Goldfish. Okay?
Love her. She's a legendary status.
Legend. So we're going to do that activity, but when it's time to swim, I'm going to call out different pathways. And now we are the fish, and we're going to explore the different pathways each time it's time to swim. Okay? I could have just done the Goldfish song, right? Everybody does the Goldfish song. Could have just done that, and we would have had a grand old time. But I took the time to do it through see, say, do, play to reach our visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and tactile learners. And I created an enriched learning environment where our students, even our little ones, were engaged and focused and excited to learn because I was teaching the way they process information. Does that make sense, Suzanne?
I love it. I love it. Well, you and I, we are kindred spirits because my background is early childhood education. And the experiential learning at this level is so key. And I think to your point, you know, parents will sometimes say, you know, is it just a dance class? I know we're going to get back to the parents.
Yep.
We know they are mostly our customers. Mm-hmm. But making that tie, especially now, to their life. I mean, I see my own kids coming off of their virtual learning at the end. They're zoned out. I mean, it's too much screen time, not because they want it, because they have to. So now more than ever, these preschoolers, their development is like, I don't want to say it's essential that they be in dance class. And this is one other great way to do it. So I love that you gave such a good example. It's awesome.
Yeah. And, you know, I am, even before this, dance is essential for development. Movement is how their brain and bodies develop. So what better way now to take this, the research is out there, to take it and run, right? This is how we are going to grow our early childhood classes. This is how we are going to get our parents to respect and appreciate the art of dance in their child's life. I mean, can you imagine if everyone, if every dance studio taught in a way that reached each student at their desired learning preference, how that could change the experience for those students, and how that word of mouth spreads. I mean, that's basically what happens is when you have students come in and it's not just a dance class, right? We are creating an enriched learning environment, and we're enhancing the quality of dance education. They're not just coming in and teaching steps. And I would tell any teacher out there who is struggling right now trying to find activities, stop adding activities. How can you enrich what you already have in your lesson plan so that your students are learning on a deeper level of comprehension and understanding and appreciation for the art of dance?
Yeah, I love it. And that's sort of the great, why we love you as a resource, because you do help so much. Take what you're already doing great and make it enriched. And so I know we could spend all day talking about this, but I know, we have, our members have gotten so many great insights from our listeners. If anybody is just meeting you now, I mean, you give so much great information. Where do you want people to connect with you if they want to learn more about your methods?
Right now, the best place to connect with me is on Facebook. If you've been following Discover Dance for a while, you know I've kind of been, I took my program off the shelf in December because I wanted to focus on my own professional development, because I will never stop learning, and none of us should ever stop learning. So I needed to step back, and I am working on a whole new platform with a teaching course and a curriculum lab and all of that. It's going to be released hopefully later this year, but I'm just going to blame it on COVID if it doesn't, like everything else. But Facebook is where I show up. I do lives. I answer questions. If you have problems, questions, concerns, you reach out to me. You're going to bet I'm going to do a post about it, because if you're having questions about it, there are hundreds of others who are also struggling with the same thing. Exactly. So that's where I encourage them to go. I'm also on Instagram and YouTube, and I started a podcast, Suzanne.
Yeah, you did. I love that.
I started a podcast.
Why not?
Why not? I'm just trying to find ways to reach more teachers, because I see them, I hear them, and I want to be here for them. And I am. This is, I left running a studio. I ran a studio for 12 years. I was a partner in it. But I left that to really focus on early childhood dance education and how we can help each other and have these resources and get the research out, because I don't think a lot of teachers realize how much research there is about movement and the developing child. So if I can get those resources out to the teachers, then those teachers and studio owners can get them out to the parents. Hello. Exactly. Educating the parents leads to them respecting us, leads to them appreciating us. And this is how we grow our dance programs.
Exactly. Everything you just said with an underlined, bold, highlighted. Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. And yeah, this is the year where we all have to, as professionals, as whether we're studio owners or teachers or doing both, listening to this, the burnout that happens on a normal year would be felt. This is like everyone's working so hard and so many hours and trying, just the psychological energy that we're putting into just getting through the day of this health and safety part of our building. That's what it's great. So if you're listening to this episode, definitely make sure you go connect with Andrea and Discover Dance on Facebook, follow her on Instagram, check out her podcast, because that little boost of love and kindness and ideas will get you through, each time. And if you have teachers that you want to share that with, please get them in your web of good things. So thank you for being here today, Andrea. I'm so glad. I know that there will be times when we're back in person and we have each other at events, and I know that will happen again. But until then, thank you so much for all that you do for dance and helping us keep our passion alive as we run and grow our business. So thank you.
It is my absolute honor and pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Dance Studio 411. Visit us online at dancestudio411.com for more great resources and to submit a question for a future episode. Our number one goal is to help you build a successful dance studio business and keep your passion for dance alive.